Hello, lovely friends. My name is Nancy, and it's been a while since I've done any kind of videos or anything like that. But since it is February and I'm trying to challenge myself to be a little bit more present in new ways, I wanted to see how I could maybe try something that I tend to struggle with video wise. So I wanted to kind of just pull a few cards, talk about kind of the energies that are going to be going on astrologically for February, and I hope you guys enjoy. So, this is going to be very like unedited, very just whatever, because to be quite honest, I am not good at those things, and that's okay. All right, so I have my cards. I've already shuffled everything. I'm gonna kind of pull some cards as I feel drawn to do so. And then just kind of talk about what we have going on. So it's interesting because I try to pick as many of my Aquarian inspired decks as I could since we are in Aquarius season. So the first card we have is New Life. Let's see what we have here. We have Sick and Tired. Who is not, right? All right, we have Curandera. Let's pick, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 cards. Hopefully that is all still in frame. If not, you know what? We'll do it like this just to make sure. And then we'll do one of these guys right there. And then finally, change in direction. All right. So all of these fun cards that we have going on here. So with the very first card talking about new life, I think that a lot of us that, have been maybe paying attention to the astrological placements and the things that have been kind of shifting right now, we're understanding that Pluto in Aquarius may be demanding a lot of shifts within us that maybe feel very uncomfortable, especially if we've been, so used to the energies of Pluto in Aquarius for the last like 16 years. And so now we're being kind of urged to shift how we view certain things and how we've kind of taken on our kind of like transformational goals and the things that maybe we're seeing for ourselves. Now, with this card, I feel like the biggest thing is that it's maybe asking us to look at our foundations, look at what we've established within ourselves, as well as being able to look at what have we built around ourselves, what maybe is ready to kind of shift or move or change, and maybe we've been holding back in some ways. Now, sick and tired. I think with this card, many of us have been feeling this way. It's been, life has not been easy. It's been rough. Even if good things have been happening, I think society at large, humanity at large, a lot of us are feeling very exhausted, especially if you are highly sensitive, if you are an empath, if you are someone that is on a spiritual path, someone who is very energetically sensitive. Maybe you just feel like we've just been going and going and going, and it's like, we haven't had an opportunity to really take in some time to take care of ourselves and to reestablish, what it is that we need and what it is that we really want. So because of my nails, I cannot pick up these cards. It's funny. But I think with this card is that it's maybe asking us to take a break, to take some time out, to take care of ourselves, whether that is just the energetic kind of response of, I'm exhausted, I need some time away from certain things or certain aspects of my life, or being very centered in what our bodies and what our minds and our souls really need. It can be hard whenever we're in the middle of everything to kind of take that time out to reestablish what it is that we need, what it is that we want. Curandera. To me, this is really just talking about grounding, really connecting to the healer within. Curanderas in, my culture are the shaman, the women healers, the indigenous, practitioners that, they're like the medicine women, basically, in a lot of ways. And I think that this is almost, telling us to kind of get back to our natural healing ways. We've been so disconnected from like the energy that could heal us through Mother Earth, or even just reconnecting to what we feel is best for us. And, maybe taking a step back and kind of saying, like, am I living life in accordance to what feels good for me and my soul? And I think with the Curandera card is that it's asking us to kind of take back our personal journey in healing and taking care of ourselves. And this isn't to say, like, oh, you have to kind of like forget and not take care of the more like Western medicine kind of aspects of yourself. I think it's more of just bringing everything into balance in ways that, allow you to find healing overall in ways that are beneficial, not just for you, but also for the earth. And maybe it's time for you to kind of be your own medicine woman in some ways. And even if you're like, I'm not a woman, maybe it's more of just like connecting to that healing energy within yourself, of honoring what it is that your soul really needs or what your soul really wants. Next, we have you can do hard things. It's not impossible as it may feel. Now, it's interesting because this is from an inner child oracle. And I think it's really, in a lot of ways, maybe reestablishing your sense of understanding yourself and what it is that you really truly need. And I think for a lot of us, maybe because we are so sick and tired and we're so, like worn down and we feel so disconnected, that we've forgotten that we can overcome anything that may be challenging us at this current time. And sometimes we feel like our goals, our desires, the things that we really want are just so far away from like where we're currently at, that maybe we're judging ourselves, and maybe we're being unkind to ourselves in a lot of ways by not taking some time out to kind of be like, you know what, I have done very, very hard things, or I have overcome a lot of things. I have an opportunity to do something different and to kind of not settle for what has, been happening or how things have been. And I think it's very much about kind of transforming how you view yourself, what you believe you're capable of doing, and what it is that you need. Now, finally, for the oracle cards that I pulled here, is that we have change in direction. Whenever I see this card, I think it's very much this like opportunity to change your perspective when it comes to what has or hasn't been shifting and changing in your life. So for a lot of us, maybe we felt a little bit stuck, a little bit stagnant, a little bit, unstable where we've been, maybe a little bit wobbly. And I think with change in direction is that it's saying now it's time for things to shift. There's a reason why you couldn't burrow down and make things work where you are. I think that this is an invitation for you to kind of step out of any kind of fear that you've had and really take into account what it is that maybe you've been wanting to change, what it is that you are desiring for yourself as far as what needs to shift in your life, whether it's you being able to show up and understand that it's okay for you to do these challenging things, to open yourself up to the possibility of a new life because you've been sick and tired of the things that have been happening. So it's time to change that direction and do something else and not just settle for the status quo because that's what makes everybody else comfortable. Now, as far as the cards that I kind of pulled here, I think it's interesting. Very first card we have is the Three of Rods or the Three of Wands. To me, this is kind of saying like, hey, you got to expand your horizons. You can't keep remaining where you've been. I know for a lot of us, we're very caught up in like the planning and the making sure we have everything right and trying to kind of bring things together. And I think this is kind of saying like, now it's time to kind of mobilize this energy and do something different where you are kind of shoving past your fears of like remaining where you've been and what's going on. Next to that, I have the Seven of Rods reversed, which to me is kind of saying like a lot of the challenges that maybe you're meeting, or a lot of this kind of energy that feels like it's not working for you, it's more of like you're internalizing a lot of this. And so if you only want to focus on the things that maybe haven't been going and the lack of momentum, or the things that maybe haven't really been working out in your favor, maybe you've been too caught up in all of the choices and options. And so it makes it a little bit challenging for you to see clearly what it is that you really need. And moving on to the Queen of Cups, I think this is kind of saying like, move back into nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, connecting to what intuitively feels right to you. I also look at this energy as very like mothering but not smothering. I look at it as very much of like nurturing yourself, taking care of like the romanticization of, I don't even know if that's a word, romanticization. I feel like that's not a word. Make your life more romantic, I guess, in the sense of like really being connected to how you feel about the things that you have going on in your life, whether that's the feeling of gratitude, whether that's the feeling of joy, the feeling of, you know, really allowing yourself to show up however you're feeling and honoring that, and moving into kind of that beautiful feminine energy as far as like honoring who you are, what you want, what you need, understanding that you are sovereign of everything that you feel and everything that you carry within yourself, and connecting more to that energy a little bit. Now, I want to move on to the Lovers, because that is like the only major card that we have here. And I think it's interesting because we do have, you know, February 14th is Valentine's Day, the day of the lovers, essentially here in the US. I don't know if other countries celebrate that as well. But when I think of the Lovers energy, I think it's very much this energy of really aligning yourself with the life that you actually really love, and really allowing yourself to step into that energy fully. While yes, it can talk about love in the sense of romantic partnership and things like that, I think the biggest thing is like really giving yourself choices to reharmonize and bring things back into balance, as far as like, what is it that I love about my life? What is it that isn't working? What is it that like I really need? And really moving into that energy fully, so that you can really open yourself up to the possibilities of not just like perfect union or whatever you want to call it. I think it's more of just recognizing all of the love that already exists in your life and aligning yourself with more of it. And then finally, I have the Eight of Rods, which is essentially the Eight of Wands. And this is like saying like, this is like your second wind. This is like you're coming up, you're doing what needs to be done. You're connecting to this energy, and you're able to see and recognize what it is that your soul has been working towards, not just energetically right now, but then also with this like recognition of, I'm doing what I need. I'm getting what I want. I've moved past. There's a lot of wands energy here, so it's almost like you're finding your fire again. You're finding your drive. You're recognizing where life has kind of warmed up for you, and what it is that you really want and desire. So I do think with all of these cards is that they are kind of saying like, you know, stop internalizing what didn't work out, or where maybe you're feeling a little bit stuck or a little bit challenged in some ways. Reconnect to taking care of yourself, nurturing what it is that you need, align yourself with things that you really love, so that this kind of energy of, okay, I've made and set down what I need, I'm ready to kind of go out into the world and find that joy and stability that I really desire, and really build something beautiful with that long term, without sacrificing what it is that I want and what it is that I need. So I hope this makes sense. I was going to talk about kind of the astrological thing. So yesterday was Imbolc. So blessed Imbolc. It's very much this time of like, you know, we're like at the midway point of winter. I'm going to pick a card from this, like Seasons of the Witch Imbolc. So the Horned Owl, become the shadow that watches, keeping quiet while moving intentionally. And I think this is perfect with all of these other cards, is that it's really saying like, I was talking with a friend the other day, and she was talking about like, yes, owls can talk about wisdom and intuition and like that connection to the self, but she almost looks at it as like, you need to be very mindful and watchful, because you know, owls have excellent night vision. And so she was talking about kind of like that energy of like they keep watch over like whatever's going on. And before they act, they know what they're seeing. And I think this is kind of talking about that same similar energy where it's like, watch what's happening around you, keep quiet before moving intentionally. And I think that's where that Seven of Rods energy has maybe been showing up in some ways for you, where maybe you feel like, oh, it's hard for me to talk about what it is that I would like to do because not everyone has the same intentions as me, or not everyone is going to receive what it is that I'm trying to do. So on February 9th, we do have the new moon in Aquarius, and there are going to be some, you know, kind of other astrological energies going on with that makes it a little bit challenging. So just be mindful of that. Because it may feel like there's like some quirky stuff going on or something that's kind of showing up that is going to be very, like a surprise may show up, right? That needs to be kind of dealt with. There may be like some other things going on with the Mercury semi-sextile Saturn. And so it's may feel like with Saturn, I always feel like there's like something that we have to process and deal with. There's like some sort of boundary, there's some sort of restriction. With Mercury kind of being involved here, I would definitely say like, especially with Mercury being in Capricorn, that there's like this energy of like something with work, something with finances, something like that we have to kind of process. And then whenever Mercury squares Jupiter, as it's moving into Aquarius, Jupiter moving, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Just ignore me for a second. Mercury square Jupiter, we may feel like there's maybe some stalls with our communication or how we're like showing up and what we're talking about. Just be patient. Don't kind of like push past that. And I think that's kind of the gist of a lot of these cards, is that they're kind of saying like, don't try to kind of move out of the energy of what is trying to work for you. So again, we just need to be very mindful of like ourselves and recognizing what we need. And I think with the Curandera card and the Queen of Cups is that it's kind of bridging this gap of like taking care of yourself so that you're not acting out in ways that don't honor who you are and what it is that you're trying to bring. Other kind of significant things is that maybe it's a time to kind of get out there, do something new, challenge yourself. Maybe change it up a little bit in some ways. Don't remain stagnant. Don't remain in the same energy. You know, it's very much this energy of like paying attention to what feelings are coming up. You know, make sure that we are remaining in like our perspective, especially whenever things start to change in direction and when things just all of a sudden start to shift for us, is that we have to be very aware of like where our passions lie and what it is that we have going on with ourselves. And the other thing is that, again, just remain in your objective perspective would be kind of the way that I would take it, especially with this kind of Aquarian energy of just paying attention to what it is that we need. And as we know, you know, halfway through the month, you know, the energy, the sun is going to move into Pisces. And so here we are at the end of the astrological year, kind of like winding things down as far as like what's been happening and what is needed. And so we can feel very much like we're ready to kind of talk about everything that we've gone through and everything that we've experienced in different ways. And so again, it's very much this energy that's kind of inviting us to open ourselves up to what it is that we really need and what it is that we really desire. And I think some of these cards are kind of saying like, hey, no matter what, like mind your P's and Q's, take care of yourself. And again, kind of keep watch of like what it is that you're doing while also moving with intention. Don't get caught up in like the old stories and the old narratives that maybe you're trying to kind of break away from, and understanding that it's okay for you to challenge yourself a little bit. And you know, sometimes how we view things is not really how they are. And I think by changing our perspective, we can invite this new life to really take root and take over. But we have to really love what it is that we're doing, whether that's, I love that I get an opportunity to do this, or I love that I get to choose what it is that is happening for me. And I think by taking care of ourselves and connecting more to like that inner medicine, we're able to kind of elevate where we're at. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, comment below, let me know. I hope to try to do these a little bit more often. We'll see how this goes, but I love you guys. Take care, take it easy, and mwah.